you play me out now, I'm mad as hell and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, hey, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean. Revolution machine, what people say they stay.
Suck my dick because hold on, I can't say that's a banana part. Stop! No!
All right. Yeah, Mikey said shocking. You can't say that no more. That's her name. No, it's Gina. We're trying to be nice. Exactly. No, you're trying to be nice.
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take
Say it
it.
again. Say it again. Okay.
Wayne, go.
Yeah, you can't when you don't understand. You ever put your hand on a fence? It's shocking you. I can't think.
You ever whiz on the electric fence?
Turn it on. The other way. It's the other way.
All day, would we all be laughing?
This isn't a laughing matter. But anyway.
What are you doing, boy?
Get seen. Am I here? Oh, I'm in the show. Hi, everyone. Wolf Siegel, Farmer in the Sky. You already saw that. I know that Lefty has been very, very active in you guys' state trying to get home grow, and I'm hoping that it's you there?
There we
I'm
go.
here. Okay, I hear me.
It's the Ignorance is No Excuse podcast welcoming Wolf Siegel. Hello, Wolf. How are you today?
I'm doing fine. We may get some slight interruptions. I'm out walking the dog, and I'm going to be walking in back of a hill. But what you're talking about is a subject so near and dear to my heart. And especially right now, we're at a critical stage, and we don't have a huge bunch of time. We need to get a Schedule 3 that's uniform for the states. And that means that all of us that are medicinal cannabis advocates need to be pushing for, like when they brought in the Controlled Substance Act, there was all the states passed a Uniform Controlled Substance Act. The first time I ever got busted was for VUXA, violating the Uniform Controlled Substance Act. Well, what we need is a Uniform Compassionate Use Restoration and Expansion Act. There is no such thing as legal adult use internationally. We can have almost universal access under Schedule 3. God, I hate to give him any credit, but Trump's executive order was very specific. It defined two things that would get brought under Schedule 3. One was FDA/DEA recognized substances. The other was state-recognized medicinal marijuana. Read the language of the order. Now, the DEA and FDA are overreaching and saying, oh, no, it's only the things we've already recognized, i.e. Drobanol, Sativex, Epidolox, those. But that's not what the order said. We have a week to somehow present a united voice calling for a regulatory system that allows home grow, that allows us, and this I'll get into it a little bit, this allows us to have the variety, the ability to produce varieties that affect us. Because some of the things that, like, we all have what's called patient individuation. Our biochemistries are different. Our genetic backgrounds are different. So the same blend of cannabis constituent compounds can produce different results for different people who have different conditions. You can't deal with that under a isolated molecule, or actually isomolecular way of doing medicine. Cannabis works in therapeutic ensembles. I hate the word entourage, it's not an accurate term. An ensemble is a group that works together to produce a work of art. So this ensemble that we need individually, its work of art is our health, is our balanced endocannabinoid system. But the only way that can be achieved is if we have what works best for us personally. And the only way that we can guarantee that, and even then there's going to be a lot of searching, is if we can grow our own and then use it properly and responsibly. Now, it is possible with the waiving of one rule, and that rule is very specific. When the subjects of a study, of a clinical study or a subclinical study, are participating, right now, the body that is doing that testing, that is backing that testing, is not allowed to charge a service fee or an administrative fee, but there are administrative costs. Now, if the DEA, FDA waives that rule, which they have done in the past for other things, so it's not like there is no means for this to happen. Under Schedule 3, we could be having the states regulate and at the same time be doing the necessary data information collecting that's needed so that we can come up with, we can identify this group of people who have genetic similarity and biochemical similarity, who have this condition, seem to react best to a range of therapeutic profiles that looks like this. How do we do this? We put the research in the universities. California, which is where I am, has 13 major institutions in its university system. There are research collaboratives starting to be formed back east. Doing the research properly, we can end up with basically, well, at the rate we're going right now, we'd be with the switch over to the research collaborative model for distribution, we would be able to do what's the equivalent of 10 years at current rates of medicinal cannabis research in a year. Because if we're enabling people to get their products out, and patients, obviously patients are people too, but if the patients are filling out a questionnaire, their doctor is saying, hey, according to this database, people with your genetic makeup, your biochemical makeup, and your condition are reporting that this range of profiles is giving them the most relief. We can do that, but the only way we can do that is if we get it out to the people, to all of the people, and we start collecting those results. So a piece of this, and this is the one part that I regret, but that nonetheless, there's no other way you can do it and be doing science. Wannabe patients, those who want to be part of medicinal cannabis research, need to undergo a full genetic workup, a full biochemical workup. That's a huge invasion of privacy. Or it's a huge sacrifice of privacy that we're making because we want cannabis and its full medicinal uses to be known. I'm perfectly willing to have, I mean, they already have my DNA. Anyone who's ever been in prison has their DNA on record. So it's not like I'm giving them something new about me. It's that I want, if I see a kid who has seizures, I want to be able to grow something or enable their parents to grow something that will help that kid specifically. Cannabis medicinals are not about iso molecules, and what works for me for a given condition might not work for you. we can change that. But to do it, the first step is everyone that's listening to this, you need to get active. Call everyone you know who might call someone. And what you want is for a start, the DEA is not letting any proponents of rescheduling state cannabis talk at this June 29th thing. So call your organizations. If you're a member of the nurses, if you're a member of Patients Out of Time, if you're a member of Americans for Science, if you're a member of Normal, no matter what advocacy not in, call someone that is. We need to get on board quickly with the uniform, passionate, and the tool we use to get is that almost every state has
We're losing you. You're in a bad area. We're losing you. Wolfie, you're in a bad area. We're losing you. Oh yeah, Wolfie, we're losing you. We got a bad connection there now. Okay, we lost Wolfie. Oh shit! What? Sorry, what'd you say, Jim?
That's what you always say when a comedian tells a bad joke. What is this on?
Is this mic on?
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't on actually.
Yeah. Well, it's a timely call because this is 4 days of this long time coming hearing. And I know what Wolf's talking about. It's an odd position to be in, to have something, if it's not going the way you want on this issue, to be able to, you'd want to talk to the president and say, you're going to take that? You're going to do that? You're going to take that? I mean, when's the last time you needed to ask your president to do something for you without laughing? But this is, look, I don't care if it's a stopped clock is right twice a day unless it's military clock. Even if he is a stopped clock and he just happened to be right on this one, I got to tell you, I'll give credit where even if credit isn't deserved there, I'll give plenty of credit for that. See if we can get some more of the same coming. It's we could have had this conversation with a more friendly president, but we didn't, and then we didn't. I think there's only 2 potential didn'ts in there. But to not be able to take testimony from somebody with a certain point of view. You see, when I was little, like 11 and 12 and 13, that's what scared me about Russia. I grew up in the big red scare. We're going to get blown up one day by them. And, in school they showed you pictures of a bunch of farm animals getting blown up or something. I mean, I think it was real even, And what scared me is stuff like that. They would take testimony that was rigged, or at least rigged by virtue of omitting somebody with an opposite point of view. And then what really scared me was when Khrushchev died, we here in America knew about it about 3 weeks before most people in Russia did. Yeah. That scared me. But now I feel like there's things scaring me today in the same way that scared me.
Well, yeah, you go to the BBC for our news now. You want news for America? Go to the BBC.
How did you know I did that?
It's scary. Life has changed so much.
And I got to tell you, I'm just really getting tired of Biden being behind everything still. I mean, that can't be possible. Although it is rather amusing because it's getting that kind of out of hand. I'd like to see what happens. Sooner or later, Republican senators are going to have to start doing, federal senators, U.S. senators, they're going to have to start doing town halls. I mean, that's what you do during an election season. You do have town halls. You invite your people out. Guess What? You can't do it because your people are going to ask you questions to justify something going on in Washington that they can't justify. And then when they try to kind of tone it down a little bit, people start yelling out, and all of a sudden you lose control of your own town hall, and it's in the paper, and it looks bad. So now you got to like not do town halls. That's my prediction. And I don't know. I suppose I'd attend one just to see how it goes, but it's just getting really crazy. And the 29th is coming. And when you've been watching the slow roll of the federal resistance to legalization or changing things at all, moving cannabis out of Schedule 1, and when there have been moves where they've been made to do something, there was never a time limit. And I do believe there was 2 full years went by one time when they just didn't have a time limit. There was no or else. No, I'm not talking about here. This has been 4 years here, not 2 years. We've doubled that on the Senate president level here. I don't know. Maybe something will happen on the 29th that helps. So I looked up some things. To get relativity, there's 24 states and Washington, D.C., District of Columbia, that have legalization.
Half of America. Half of you are pretty smart.
4 states that have legal cannabis for adults. Excuse me, there's no mute button. And or is there? Anyway,
Or is there?
4 states do not have cannabis. Have cannabis legalization for their adults and do not have legal home grow for their patients. 4 out of 24. New Jersey, of course, is one. Delaware, Illinois, and Washington, the state, apparently don't have home grow for their patients. Whether it's enforced or not isn't the issue. Your patients shouldn't have to look over their shoulders. Many can't because they can't move, literally. And that means that we are an outlier state. Now, in normal societies, when you are going against the grain, you kind of, if it affects other people, I think you do owe an explanation. If somebody goes against the grain and it doesn't affect nobody but them and theirs, that's what I like about things. Some people are way different than me, and that's good. But when somebody does something that affects your way of life, being different, like New Jersey without home grow for patients,
You can't let them go against the grain. You got to say something. Like when someone's cutting up pastrami, and they put the pastrami in the machine wrong, and they're cutting it the wrong way. You got to stop them. You got to say, "Hey,
I don't want fingers in my sandwich.
get out of there with that. Get out of here."
Yeah, see, and but to say that, you have to be within earshot.
You have to know what's going on, we're not.
That's
informed.
the problem. How do you say that to somebody, though?
They're making sausage in the back room.
Yeah, suppose they were making that pastrami in the back room.
In the back room.
Yeah, how do you complain?
We can't.
Well, no, you can complain to the person out there, and they empathize with you and disappear. That's where we are. Why isn't this bill being heard? What's the reason?
We're sorry for your distress. We're sorry you're suffering, little cancer patient. We're sorry.
Let me ask.
Go talk to the Board of Health.
Here's the serious question: there's 6 states within 120 miles of New Jersey, closest point to closest point, meaning, Virginia, Maryland, New York, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. Massachusetts is 120. So anyway, those states are more like us than Colorado, a lot, but in every way there is. Why does our Senate president insist on physically going to Colorado to get information that would help, move this along somehow? And, I have nice footage of him being interviewed by somebody where he said that after the pandemic, maybe he could get back out to Colorado and confer with them. Zoom meetings, dude. You don't need to, unless you need to smell it. Why would he even need to go there? He could get in touch with his counterpart, Senate president, and say, what's going on? What can't you fix? What's the extent of it? Because it's a risk-benefit ratio. When you're risking people's lives, you better be able to identify the benefit part of that what's going on. I think I see a trash bag, and my guess is it's one of ours.
Do we have a honk for home grow sign anywhere? Honk for home grow? We don't actually have one today, do we? We don't have a honk for home grow sign? Whoa! Okay, I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you. You should show the camera that you have it. Show the We want proof you have a honk for home grow sign because I'm not hearing any honking. I'm not hearing any honking. I'm hearing a bell, but that's not till later. We hear no honking. That's not ours, but we'll take it. I'll take it. Yeah, that's our new bag. That's our new bag. Lefty's got a brand new bag. Wow! Lefty's got a brand new bag. Oh, there's honk for home grow. Honk for home grow. Johnny Stash, can you please make a song? Honk for home grow. Johnny went to Tough Gong the other day. They actually had him at Sirius Radio because he makes a lot of reggae songs. And they invited him to the radio station for Tough Gong Radio. Bob Marley's son apparently interviewed him. So, yeah, Johnny, call in. Call in, Johnny. I want to hear what happened with the Tough Gong. Because I listen to Tough Gong. That's like the best radio. It's the best reggae station. And I wonder if they played, like, how many of your songs did they play on there? Did they play dab, 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 dab? Can I find that one? I should find that one. A dab, 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 dab. A big bong, big bong. A big bong, big bong. Hey, that's a good song, Johnny. I really like that a lot. That should actually be on the radio because there's literally words you can sing along. It's like mumble rap. It's like mumble rap. I can do mumble rap. I can sing your songs. A big bong, 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 big bong. Honk for home grow. Jim's putting a sign on his car. It says honk for home grow. Jim's putting a sign on his car. It says honk for home grow. People are driving by and honking. People are driving by and honking. People are driving by. Nope, they're not honking. I think, Jim, you're standing in the way of the honking. He's taping it so it sticks out. He's making trusses with tape. He's making tape trusses for the honk for home grow sign. This is the greatest engineering feat that I have seen since 10 o'clock this morning, since Jim engineered the tent. He is actually making the honk for home grow sign stick out in the road where people will actually hit it with their mirror. People are going to be hitting their mirror with the honk for home grow sign. Yes, this is how you put up a honk for home grow sign in the middle of the street. In the middle of the street, I got a honk for home grow sign. In the middle of the street. That's how you do it, Jim. Honk for home grow. Honk, honk. Honk for home grow. Now, if somebody would only honk, if we'd only get one honk. So here we are again at the New Jersey State House, and we came in this morning loading up our stuff. And oh no, Ratari, you dropped a sign, Ratari. Do you have neuropathy like me? I think Ratari has neuropathy because he just dropped a sign. And I know with my neuropathy, I drop a lot of things too. Big bong, big bong. Big rat, 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 big rat. Scootary's a big rat. That was Johnny Trash in a garbage bag. What was Johnny Trash in a garbage bag? So Johnny Trash wants to go to the Roselle post office, Jim. And I would too. I'd like to set up a ramp over at the Roselle post office and go up that ramp. Because there's no wheelchair access at the Roselle post office. You can go on Google Maps and look at it yourself. There's 2 post offices. Check the other one if you're looking at one that has it. There's one that doesn't have it, that has like 2 steps. And you can't get in. And what they tell you is, well, you can go down the street to the other post office. You can roll down there. Yeah. No, thanks. I'd like a ramp for this post office. I want to use this post office. As an American, I'm choosing this post office where every other American can go in, except if you're in a wheelchair. If you're in a wheelchair, you can't get the same tax breaks as able-bodied people in urban enterprise zones. All over New Jersey, you'll see urban enterprise zones. And if there's steps, which there is, because all these urban enterprise zones are in old cities, they all have steps. So you're all screwed. All you people in wheelchairs, stay out of the UEZ. If you're in a wheelchair, we don't want you in the UEZ. Stay out. Keep your wheelchairs home. UEZ shoppers. UEZ shoppers, keep your wheelchairs home. Keep your cancer home. Keep your MS home. We don't want to see it. We don't want to smell it. We don't want to hear it. You got MS? We don't want it. Get out of here with your MS. Get out of here with your cancer. You stupid wheelchair. Keep it home. Cripple. You damn cripples. Stay home. Not in my UEZ. Yeah. Out for home grow. Not in my UEZ, you don't. Oh, no. No wheelchairs in my UEZ. You get out of here. Disabled vets. We don't want you in here. You disabled vets are not important enough to be in the UEZ. You disabled vets don't deserve the tax breaks that regular people can get in the UEZ. Disabled vets, sorry. Sorry for your luck. I know you fought for your country, but you can't go shopping in the UEZ because you're in a wheelchair and you can't get those same tax breaks as able-bodied people. Sorry for your luck. Or is that the unlucky lottery? Is it sorry for your luck or is it unlucky lottery? I wonder. Which is it? Probably both. Both. It's both. So when we got here today, me and Jim were setting up. And yesterday I got a letter in the mail from Trenton Municipal Court. And I'm thinking, what did I do now? What are we getting fined for? No. There's a court date for the guy that stole our ramp last year. Somebody stole our wheelchair ramp last year. Well, they got a court date in August, and we're going to go. And Jim has it here in his hand here. This is the ramp. Can you see it? There it is. Jim has it. And it was just sitting there.
It's for a curb. A step is a wall.
A step is a wall.
One step.
And we were sitting it. We were setting up, and the ramp was back here by the annex. So we stole our ramp back. I guess we commandeered it, but I don't know. We just took it. It's our ramp. Our name's on it. It's our ramp. So we're taking it back.
So, but the thing is,
what the hell?
I was running the cord around the building. It's 150 feet away. And there's steps coming out of this horseshoe-shaped building, where I've walked in down one side. There's a big courtyard, and I noticed steps that come down from the side on my left had a little ramp, and I thought, they don't use that door there.
Right. What were you thinking?
No, they don't use that door there.
What were you
but
thinking?
then the doors were actually opened up on the outside. So I thought they do. But here's my point. There's more than one step. It's like 6 steps up. So the ramp was to the first step.
It was worthless. Useless.
But why was it even there?
Why? What was your thought process as you were?
I didn't have. Okay, I got here an hour before you. You know how that works. I'm all by myself. It's a reflexive reaction, light in the bowl.
Sometimes you do.
No, I mean I got everything out. I was here early.
You were here
See
early.
how that worked. I get a parking spot because I can get one right out front. And I usually try to go right in front of somebody and leaving just enough room that you can't get in there. And then when somebody parks in front of me, I don't let them park too close, and then I can pull forward when Lefty comes and he fits in. And, if I could, if I texted you these pictures I took, would you be able to put them up? I mean, if I Facebook message you or texted or
Facebook message. Yes.
Facebook.
I'm dying.
It's a good looking setup, and we've had to start dealing with the fact that having a new governor is a very busy period. The first 6 months, I'm sure, of any governor. Nonetheless, we haven't been able to get our new governor, Mikey Sherrill, to acknowledge that she knows that the problem exists, that her Senate president has not allowed a medical cannabis health care bill.
What's his name?
It's a home grow bill.
What's his name?
I almost said Scrutari. I say that so often. Yeah, Senate President Scutari. As opposed to this big 10-foot blow-up rat next to us named Senate President Rattari. And I will point out, yes, there are groups that do not support this, and people know me as co-founder of CMMJ, Coalition for Medical Marijuana.
You had to do a disclaimer.
Yeah.
What was your disclaimer?
Well, first of all, let me give the disclaimer is that the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey officially does not support Rattari because it might piss Senator President Scutari off, and we need him to get anything done. We need him, the guy who has not allowed this bill to be heard in committee. Keep in mind,
we need that.
Let me explain
Why do we
something
need
very
that?
important.
Wait,
No. Just so it's straight
Why?
together. No, I'm not going to. He could stop the bill from being voted on. If he didn't want the bill to be passed, don't let it get voted on. But that sounds a little un-American. So what he does is he doesn't let the information get out there, because somehow people are way accepting of that. It's like, it doesn't allow a bill to be heard. Thing is, after that many days on a health care bill, there are families that have gone financially ruined, people that have died before they needed to, people that have had too much opiates at the end of their life
Existential threat
situation.
to our lives.
It is, and it has become and gone by it.
And this is bad. This is activism. This is activism 101.
But here's the part. Here's the part about. Well, the thing is, there is a point to be made that you don't want to piss off the person that you need to get something done. Let me say that's politically speaking, yes. If you were a legislator and I was a legislator, we'd understand that because they live by that. I'm not saying it's right. It's the job they chose, So what happens is that they have deals that they have to get votes. Here, I want your vote. Well, I want your vote. Okay. And then, no, if you do that, I'm going to have to not vote, So it's like whack-a-mole. They try to make a deal and two problems pop up. So it's just easier to ignore. That's our job, to not let it be ignored. It's our job. And may I say that they call it good cop, bad cop. It's like there's a cop that'll go off on you and another cop that'll come in.
What about bad prosecutor?
Exactly. Well, yeah. Well, you can't just change prosecutor so much like that. But there's bad advocate, good advocate. The bad advocate calls you a rat. Associates you with, and in New Jersey, look up the AI definition of, definition of rat in New Jersey.
It's a picture of Scutari.
No offense to rats. I mean, come on, man. Look how cute this guy is. He's 10 feet of cuteness.
Listen, we are connected as far as activism goes. We're connected with all these people. So Scutari is going to be pissed off at everybody. So sorry for your luck, CMMNJ, but we're fucking it up for you too. I'm sorry our rat offends you, but what have you guys done? You allowed Scutari for 5 years. Where's your letter?
Well,
where's your letter to Scutari? I've written him 3 letters. Where's your letter to Scutari?
Okay, here's something.
I'm a little upset now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got the answer. First of all, you know me. We can't ask somebody something like that without having something to say ourselves about it. Because some people all the time, they complain about something. I'm not talking about you now. I'm talking about all the time. People complain about something and they never do anything about it. So when you bitch about something and all you do is bitch,
What does that make you?
a bitch. That's it. Now, if you bitch about something and you advocate for it to be changed, that makes you an advocate. If you can't get by on advocacy and you do a little more, then you become an activist. This is like where that crosses. We're advocating, but the activist is pissing him off with a 10-foot rap. But it doesn't piss him off because he can turn away and do whatever he wants. Here's what'll piss him off.
Ridiculous.
Listen, we're not doing our job in one area. Nobody really is. We all have a state senator. There's 39 others. There are some that would never want this bill to be passed. There's some that want it to be passed. There's 6 Democrats who are co-sponsors and 3 Republicans who are co-sponsors. You know how many have asked him to post it? None. Nobody's asked him. None of the co-sponsors have asked him to post it. So if your co-sponsor is one of them and you have about a 23% chance of that happening, then you need to ask your senator how he feels about what Nick Scutari is doing. Now follow me. Hold on. No, give me another half a minute. You just have to ask your senator how he feels about it. You don't have to ask him to do anything about it. Have to describe the situation, make sure he is aware of it, preferably in an email. Then you have a trail that says he knows about it, which means you've taken away his culpable deniability, defined as, I didn't know the situation was that bad. Well, you can't. Okay, that's culpable deniability. It only works once. So once somebody is on record as understanding the problem, and all you're asking them is how they feel about it. See, it's their dance. It's like saying, dance, monkey. And, the monkey doesn't know what kind of dance to do because you're not trying to push him into a corner. You're giving him free range to say whatever he wants. Here's the deal. If you start going, well, it's how things work. Oh, you know how bad that reads, the print? You know how no matter what they say, it'll sound bad, so they don't want to say anything. Now they've ignored a constituent who simply want to know, what do you think about this going on? You follow me? There's no room to turn. Think like the senator. What are you going to say? And now all you want to do, and you have it proven that they know about it. Now we need to do that with our governor. We need proof. I'm thinking that maybe somebody should suggest a 1/4 ounce reward, because in this state, any adult is allowed to give another adult up to 1 ounce of cannabis. And it says right in the law, not like in the small section. They want to make that quite clear because that, you can share then.
Why doesn't CMMNJ come out here, make their own table with our permit, and have a nice big picture of Scutari with like hearts and flowers on it?
No.
Thank you for all you've done.
No.
Thank you for all you've done for patients.
No.
And
the thing is, we can't do that either. We can't use that kind of sarcasm when making. It doesn't.
Existential threat. You said
it doesn't
existential
help.
threat.
It doesn't. See that? We're having a fake disagreement here. I'm like kidding. We see, the thing about Lefty and me is that we can definitely have disagreements, and it never even come close to being personal, ever. That's a rarity, Plus, he's a person who not just admits he's wrong, but things like somebody goes, "You're such an asshole," and he'll say, "Listen, I know I can be, and I have been a lot at times, but what in particular are you talking about?"
Well, Jim, you're very disagreeable.
Well, that's because a lot of people are wrong all the time, and with them I disagree.
You're supposed to say, "No, I'm not."
And you know what? Thing is, if you're going to be disagreeable, you better be good at disagreeing. And again, what I say is, it's you can have a really strong opinion, but depending how you express it, you lose or gain points. I would say look up Alan Shore. He was a character in Boston Legal and The Practice. Yeah, he was the man. and he went over the edge a lot.
He did.
You know?
And don't get me wrong. I love CMMNJ. I love what they've done over the past. Ken has always been mellow, not confrontational.
It's a different point of view.
That's the way he is.
That's healthy, though.
And I appreciate the way he's been
Different
over
points
the
of
years. However, right now, I don't agree with them at all about Rattari. At all, because we've waited 5 years. Patients have died and suffered and are still suffering and dying. This is why we're here with the rat. This is why we're here.
Well, here's the deal, though.
Existential threat.
We could open the door and say, okay, for instance, if there was something Senator Scutari did not want to happen and he was advised first, here's what our next move is. That's pretty fair, right? Letting somebody know what's coming up, because that makes it a negotiation. That's here's what we're going to do, and we will. Okay, and it's fine, and you don't give an answer now, because that's when the chest thumping comes out. Don't want an answer. Here's what we're going to do. We would like to discuss why Home Grow for Patients is not getting a hearing, a Zoom meeting, a short one, 25 minutes, and then you bargain down to 15. Doesn't matter. It's just that at that point, why would you not want to be transparent to the point that you'll accept what we just said is going to happen? Because the history will show that he was warned. And then he said, go ahead. Why would he do that? It means there's something that he's hiding. And that's all. We don't have to demand what. It's just transparency. It's the opposite of transparency. And then when he says 5 years ago, well, I was thinking of having a very strictly controlled pilot program with very few people and only the sickest and most hurt patients.
Only stage 4 cancer.
Right, yeah. Okay, he said that 5 years ago.
You're going to have no arms and no legs.
But here's the question. What have you done in the last 5 years to consider that? Did you? Who did you talk to about it? Anybody? What he's doing, he's a Senate president who just makes it up. Oh, wait a second. No, that's him too. Yeah. There's a lot of that going around. All levels of government. You think you can, but he does get away better than most with not responding. That's why it's up to
he scoots away.
His Senate colleagues. How do you give your best informed or well-informed opinion on a bill if it hasn't had a hearing? Now, people would say, well, read the bill. You read the text. What you need to do is, at a hearing, people who are professed experts, some are, some aren't, there's senators on both sides of the issue. Obviously, Senator Scutari could make sure somebody on a committee hearing that had the right questions to make it look bad. That's what would happen.
We need more token Republicans.
Somebody would be, a Republican that didn't want the bill to be heard, wanted to make Scutari happy, would ask the tough questions. The thing is, they're not that tough.
They're not.
Right. They don't have any really tough questions. And the tough responses are, how did that work out in any of these 6 states?
It didn't make any sense. Ed Durr?
Yeah.
What did Ed Durr do?
Now you're getting the point is,
Come on.
Can't have the hearing because it'll go extremely in our favor. But what does that leave?
They're all kissing
it's
his ass.
censorship. He's saying, well, there's no will in the Senate to pass this bill. And I say, good. There should be no will in the Senate to pass this bill because it hasn't been heard. What is perceived detriments and benefits need to be heard. People from rehab, people in law enforcement, people in the industry who feel they might be losing money. If patients started growing their own, there's a little of that going around. Yeah, there's a good one. The thing is, the hearing, it isn't a walkover. They're hearings where there's as many people want to testify against it as for it. And that's what I say to my senator, James Holsapple. He's at the top of the list of people who would hate this bill. And me, I've been bothering him for
What's his name?
James Holsapple. He's got the Holsapple. Yeah, I've been kind of pain in his ass since 1994 when he first became an assemblyman.
It's like me with Cody. He just ignores you.
No, he's had a run from Cheryl when she was alive. We had him cornered one time.
You had a run from her?
No. He had a table setting where there's 9 legislators, 3 from each district, going to do a thing at an ARC center, and he was one. And we got there about 10 minutes before, and he had a glass of water. James Holzer there, and Dave Wolf, his assemblymate Dave Wolf said, yeah, I got to apologize for Mr. Holsaffel. He has a bar mitzvah that coincided with this. Now, okay, he could have said anything else, not a bar mitzvah. You commit to that 6 months before. Those invitations go out 6 months before. What a lie.
It was a pop-up.
Yeah. Anyway, I had my way with Dave Wolf, and it's as close as we came. But my point is he should have asked the tough questions, allow it to be had, and knowing it's not going to get a vote. So here's the final analysis. It's the information that our Senate president doesn't want heard. He doesn't want an understanding. He doesn't want his Senate colleagues to understand how helpful this bill could be, and he certainly doesn't want his Senate colleagues to see the patients that would finally have a chance after 4.5 years to come here, those who could, through the pain it might cause them, to have their say. To some, it's the most validating thing that could happen in what will be the rest of their miserable lives in some cases. But to deny them the chance to come and talk to the people who are the point of their discontent, that's not my vision of democracy. It's not. It shouldn't be allowed here any more than it shouldn't be allowed at the federal level. There should be somebody, especially the minority leader, Senator Bucco. There's 15 Republican senators, 25 Democrats. He's the minority leader. He was almost an original co-sponsor of this bill. He's co-sponsored every one of its 4 incarnations, same bill, different name every session. It's in its 4th legislative session. Senator Bucco, the minority leader, has co-sponsored it, and I've been very thankful, but the minority party, their function is to be a check and balance on the majority party. They exist for that. This is a move where they could engage the majority party, the Senate president, and say, we'd want you to justify why you're not allowing this bill to be heard. I'm a co-sponsor. I would like it to be heard, as would the others, meaning they've all promised to vote on it. Keep in mind, Senate President Scutari did not allow a bill with 26 co-sponsors to be heard. I would say it's the health care bill. He helped casinos tamp down a no-smoking bill in casinos. A bill to do that originally had 26 co-sponsors, way more than enough, and he wouldn't let it be heard. So no, it isn't like you got to get a certain number of co-sponsors and sit back and let democracy work. New Jersey does have a standard process for, allowing a bill to become law, and this is the first step, having a hearing. So it's not being allowed in the gate without explanation. Censorship. Everybody's okay. What does the sign say here? Get a sign. Oh, I can't remember. I made it. But it's basically saying, Governor Sherrill, this has been happening about 170 days on your watch. Are you okay with this? Do you know about this? We need to find. I got handouts out there saying here's the issue. We need to know if our governor knows about this or not.
Oh, we have brochures. There's brochures here. They're trifolds, but they're screwed up.
Yeah, I got some of them. I should put some out there.
I'll put a couple. I would like to play a song for us now. Let's cleanse the palate with Johnny Stash.
I would like to play a song for us.
There's a Johnny Stash new exclusive by Johnny Stash.
And what is the name or subject of the song?
It's called Honk for Homegrow. Yeah, I can't wait to hear this one. All right, so I think we're ready to play this. Hold on. Let's try it.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, you can put your headphones on so you can hear it.
patient first. We keep it simple. Let the good things work. Honk for hunger. Honk for hunger. Honk for patient first. That one always comes first. Honk for hunger. Honk for hunger. Sativa crops will preach when the whole block sees.
I wonder if they think Ratari's singing. No, he would be honk against Homegrown.
Paper in the drawer, quiet at the door. No rush, no show, just a slow, clean glow. Honk for homegrown, honk for patient first. From seed to shelter, that's the kind of first. Honk for homegrown, honk for homegrown, honk for patient first. That one always comes first. Honk for homegrown, honk for homegrown. Sativa crops will preach when the whole block sees. If you know, you know. Let the small things grow. If you know, you know. That's the way it goes. Honk for homegrown. Honk for homegrown. Honk for patient first. That one always comes first. Honk for homegrown.
Oh, you want to get a video with this song in it?
Sativa crops will preach
Let's rewind it.
when the whole block
I'll
sees.
rewind this sucker. I love this. This is hot. Yo. I can't because we're playing the song. Honk for Homegrown. Hey, hey.
Yeah, we got a honk for Homegrown song.
Honk for Homegrown.
Before somebody that could get it before the I know, but you got that in your hand if you're going that way. We just want our governor to know about it so she doesn't look bad. It looks bad. We're trying to help.
Work before the church. Honk for homegrown.
Honk for Homegrown.
Honk for patient first.
I love this.
We keep
This
it
is-
simple.
Johnny.
Let the good things work. Honk for homegrown. Honk for homegrown.
Johnny, you've outdone yourself.
Honk for patient first.
You're making us look
That
good.
one
Johnny
always
Stash.
comes first.
I mean, we're right next to Rakari. The
Honk for homegrown.
ambiance here is we're through the roof right now.
This is the best thing right here. Honk for Homegrown.
Yeah, we should just like sit here and smoke pot for about a half an hour and put the song on, you know? I mean, if they're not going to listen, let's have fun with their deaf ears, you know?
Paper in the drawer. Quiet at the door. No rush, no show. Just a slow, clean glow. Honk for homegrown. Honk for patient first. From seed to shelter. That's the
Yes, you know, we got to hook you up with a camera going the other way on the other side so people can see what we see. How much can that cost? I'll see if I can find somebody to fund it.
Always comes first. Honk for homegrown. Honk for
Man.
homegrown. Sativa crops will preach when the whole block sees.
Yeah, Johnny, you got it. You're killing it, Johnny. You're killing
If
it.
you know, you
Johnny,
know.
literally.
Let the small things grow. If you know, you know. That's the way it goes.
We have no choice but to have the blunt out, you know. Hey, listen, I'm gonna go put my Bob Marley shirt on. I got one. I didn't know which I had. Two shirts. They call me Jimmy Two Shirts.
Call me Jimmy Two Shirts. Honk for home grow.
Honk for home grow.
Honk for home grow.
Honk for patient first. That one always
for home grow.
comes first.
Honk for home grow.
Honk for home grow. Sativa cross will preach. When the whole block sees.
I got nothing.
I got everything. Right now, this is the most amazing song. Amazing morning. We got a ramp back. We got our ramp back.
Okay, that's a little weird though.
That's really crazy, bro.
Should have taken a picture where it was. You know what? Pretty good. That was kind of a good flare at the end. Not bad.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it's because it's just the right. It's kind of quiet when nobody's making noise here. How you going, man? Did you hear our Honk for Home Grow song that just went off?
Honk for home grow.
Yeah. Yeah. He would have liked to heard that song that just went off.
Oh, I must charge my phone.
Yeah.
It's time to charge my phone. Yeah, let me do that. All right, Jim, the show is yours.
Actually, you know what it should say? Honk for Home Grow Hearings.
Honk for
Home grow.
hearings.
All I got to do is put hearings
Here.
underneath it. I got tape, I got signs, I got markers, I got an idea.
For home grow hearing.
Well,
Honk for home grow hearing. That's good stuff, man.
yeah,
That's
well, the thing is, they're honking for home grow, and for patients' home grow, it's being stopped by a lack of a hearing. So the actual what we need to do concerns only the hearing, not whether or not the bill even gets voted on. And for me to be the one step at a time in a plan and an end goal, should be embarrassing for other people. I'm the guy that needs somebody to do that for me. You know? It's about the hearings. It's about the information about the bill is being censored. The information that would come from the testimony. And the testimony would be doctors, and it would be prison wardens, and it would be clinicians, and it would be rehab centers. You know, they go different ways on this. It's a process that is the best source of information, best access to pertinent and accurate information. And the reason I say it's accurate, because it's not everybody's testimony is going to be accurate. We know that. But there's somebody on the committee that will know better in most cases, and asked for qualification of somebody making a statement, like a percentage of people or something. Where did you get that? That happens. It isn't just done, and then questions. And when they're done, committee members can ask questions. So it comes from both sides of the aisle. It comes from both sides of the issue. It's the way that people who do have a vote on a bill have access to information. I mean, gee, they could have called it anything, but they call it an informational hearing for a reason. And how can one make the argument that it's better not to have the information? That's why the argument isn't being made, because if you're a senator and you have an opinion on a bill and it hasn't had a hearing, one would wonder where the information comes from. Now, there's an echo chamber on the left and there's an echo chamber on the right. So, I mean, there's an echo chamber for reasons not to have home grow for patients, and then there's an echo chamber. And, I'm the person that really gets upset with people who are going my way, and they're pundits, and maybe they're on TV, and they show bias in their opinions, by the adjectives they use. And you don't have to do it. When you're right, you just need to be right. And having this go on without any pushback from legislators, why should patients have any hope? I mean, those that know they need this, they really, really need it. They're going to run out of money, in which case then they have to go back on opiates. The state of New Jersey allows people with opiate use disorder, addiction, into the medical cannabis program because of being addicted. New Jersey allows people in the medical cannabis program if they're addicted just based on that. That means they recognize there is a benefit. New Jersey has a thing called Reach New Jersey, REACHNJ. It's you dial that on a phone, you get them. That's for when you're neediest and you want information. You can contact Reach New Jersey, but they will not tell that person, yeah, you know what? You're screwing up. If you want to wean yourself off opiates, start using cannabis with it, because they operate in a synergistic effect. You know, you will need way less of both used on their own. You know, it's New Jersey is both for and against this within their programs. They're supposed to treat medical cannabis on par with prescription cannabis when it comes to making adjustments or anything. You know, you're not supposed to consider one more important than the other, and that's nothing but a joke here. You know, I guess it's almost been a month. Now, of course, my late wife had multiple sclerosis and really bad at times. But my point is from the beginning, that's been one of the afflictions that's been well known to benefit from cannabis use that is not counterindicated for any pharmaceuticals, really, you know. So, I don't know. That being the case, our senator understands this because, you know, I would offer anybody and him condolences on the loss of his mother somewhere around a month ago. And I mention this because he's been quite open about it, that his mother has been a registered medical cannabis patient in New Jersey, his senator's mother, who had MS, and then just passed from it. And while I can understand on one totally different level, I feel bad. However, he knows. He knows how important that is to people with MS. And he knows that some people have it way worse than he's ever seen. And he knows that it's expensive and it's not insured. And he knows that there are bills that would help pay for it through PAID, through Medicaid, through Senior Gold, through other things I don't even know what they are. But they're not getting hearings either. So on one hand, no, you can't grow your own. On the other hand, yeah, we're not even letting New Jersey programs that would help you pay for dispensary medicine. Patients are getting disrespected and from every direction there is. And then on top of that, when advocacy groups say we don't want to piss off Nick Scutari, I understand your anger. But it's because I can't get the cries of pain out of my head. It's an echo. I'm trying very hard not to hear it now. It was so effective for advocacy that one time when I knew it was going to hurt Cheryl and I was getting her changed, and I knew when I rolled her on her left side it was going to hurt her real bad, and I had to, and she knew that, and I was so affected that I yelled out, kind of, why am I the one that has to hear this? Not to her, just, you know, if I had a God, I'd be yelling to him. You know, why am I the one hearing this? And she said, well, why don't you record it? Because I have a recorder right there, so I could record my thoughts on a little mini cassette thing. And I did. And I didn't listen to it for 2 years until I was about 2 blocks from here at a press conference at Drug Policy Alliance, and Montel Williams was the big name there. And there was 4 people speaking, and I was third. And my problem is we had head of health. No, there's something that works just as well as marijuana, prescription drugs, for just everything it's said to work. Bullshit. Said that. So I reiterated that, and they know Cheryl had been gone for a couple of years. And, no, a year and a half, maybe a year then. And I said, Cheryl sometimes didn't have a lot to say when she was alive because it was hard for her to talk. Compound sentences with her MS and brain lesions were difficult. But I think here, in her own voice, she can tell you otherwise as to things worked, And then I explained real quick that what I'd recorded, so they knew exactly. I explained that, and then I whipped it out of the thing from my jacket pocket and put it up in front of the microphone, and they heard something that sounded like oh, and a voice saying, quick as I can, almost there. The entire press corps was crying. One cameraman was having projectile tears. And then I handed it over to Montel, and I mean to do that right before somebody else gonna have something to say, But it worked well because he picked up on it, So anyway, the point is our Senator Scutari knows better. And I don't know what he does this for that gets him something in return, but that's the way it works. And I'm not bitching about that. That is the way it works. I have no problem with that. I use that. But to not explain it and not let go of the rope at this point, there's got to be a price to pay. We have to do something different. And maybe we want to figure out when. I have some ideas that if all else fails, that's the way to approach something. What if all else fails? Well, you come up with some ideas, and you want to have all your ducks in a row if you have to do something. So that's what I'm doing at this stage. And one of those ducks is we need to have your standard protest at his district office. If we can get an hour of battery time out of Ratari, that'd be nice. And it doesn't matter how many people come. It does not matter. It needs to have happened. So it's a matter of record, and it didn't work. And then, as Johnny, I think he said, was saying, and I've been saying, can't be this weekend because it's a family thing, and I'm being called on to be on hand. But to go to a post office in his district, and where you are allowed to, because that's considered town center, and how it goes that you have a right to adjust your grievances in the town center, and it's a First Amendment right. And so post offices, that's U.S. property, and they have to honor that. They can have caveats on that in any way they choose, but they can't say you're not allowed. So just to be there, trying to explain that to constituents, and see if some people can say, hey, that was really cool, and we say, and it's really easy. Can I meet you at a different post office next week at 9 a.m. and give you some handouts and something to, yeah, then there'd be 2 post offices done. Now, you see, it's not a big deal. It's not a change of the world moment, but it's one of my ducks. Yeah, we went to post offices. Oh, yeah. I had a petition a year and a half ago, still active, a petition to convince Senate President Scutari to allow this bill to be heard. I challenge you. Show me another petition anybody's ever had about a bill not being allowed to have a hearing. In the history of petitions. Must have happened, right? I don't think so. Point is, it's not working. So if he's not going to come to the party has to come to him. It's pretty simple. And I looked down right there at the second pillar in, and that's where I put Cheryl's wheelchair at the end of 1993. That's where it ended. And then in 1997, it's exactly where her hospital bed was when we did a test in front of the state police, and they refused to take the admittedly cannabis tincture that media members, including a few television stations, they watched her tightness, like tight, stiff like a board, uncooked spaghetti, loose like, her muscles didn't have a care in the world, and all she did was take that tincture. But it all happened like right down there. That was 29 years ago, that her hospital bed. It was 35 years ago when I pushed her wheelchair across the state there. You know how many people with MS could have benefited from this in this time? I mean, we had to fight the MS Society every step of the way. So, I can't do this much longer, and I can't not do it. So I feel like Senator Scutari he's affecting my life to move on, and I can support other people, But the problem is, I ask myself, is there a chance that me being involved could make this happen a little sooner at all? Is there a chance? And a lot of times it's not just a chance, it's a fact.
It's a fact, because who's doing anything? Jim, nobody's doing anything. They're having meetings and they're talking about it. They're not out here on the front line doing anything about it.
It's when the bill gets heard. It doesn't matter if it gets voted on. When the bill gets heard, patients will have been heard in the form that everybody else is allowed except them. The process of a due process of a bill becoming law in New Jersey starts with a hearing. A president of the Senate cannot allow a vote. So it's a non-voting hearing that's being denied. It's not the vote being denied, it's the information that would lead to the vote that's being denied. In what democracy is that fair process?
Censorship.
Well, but nobody's holding them accountable. It is
Fascism.
mirroring what's going on in Washington to a frightening level.
Trumpish.
Well, no, it's
Trumpish.
It's not him. I'm talking about senators. I'm talking about the senators that know better. I'm talking about not the sponsors and the primary sponsors. The reason they get a free pass is they have to be good about this with everybody. We don't. We can say, Minority Leader Bucco, good for you for being a co-sponsor. How dare you not ask him, and he will refuse you. That gives patients ammunition. The same patients you want to grow their own, you're withholding ammunition.
Want to call Bucco?
All of them are. No. I want to do that. Like, if he doesn't come to the phone.
I love doing that.
Okay, look.
I love doing
Chris Alamada is a constituent. What we want is for Chris. I'll suggest and add whatever you want, Chris. But just to ask him to do this, and if my paragraph would be framed, we do that.
You mean Councilman?
Yeah.
Chris Almada.
Yeah. Who resigned from the board of Sativa Cross because he didn't want a conflict in being a councilman.
Right.
So he's not a Republican, and he could be seeking his senator, his district senator, as you can't discount me, man.
No, Councilman Almada has juice now.
Yeah,
he's got some juice,
and for him to deal with his senator in the way that I know. See, the thing is, I wrote letters to him, but he got them from Jennifer Caden. Yeah. She was like edibles and you'd probably know if I could remember exactly which it was, Baked by the River or something like that. It could have been, I don't know. I get them all mixed up. But anyway, yeah, she's in Florida now. But I have 3 emails that she wrote to him and got responses to, which means I wrote it, and she simply sent them as her own, So Chris Alamada says, listen, a friend whom you were dealing with, the last thing you said to her was, so he can quote something Jen said to him, Chris can, And it's not like, Jen would love that, but what it tells Senator Bucco is Chris knows exactly what he wrote to her 5 years ago or 4 years ago. So, that could be a very powerful. All he wants him to do, look, you're going to get turned down, but we need you to get turned down like we get turned down, And you're supposed to be a check and a balance on the majority party, and this would be fulfilling that, what people think you do, All co-sponsorship is, yes, I would vote on this bill if it comes before me for a vote. You have no other obligations. None.
No.
What's that? It's going to explode?
We're still alive.
Okay. I think I'm going to put a...
Here we go. Listen to this. This is from our friend Sam Head. Sam Heads. Man, you guys have been fighting these battles for so many years. It's crazy. I think we are crazy, Jim. This shouldn't be the case. It's a basic right, I feel, to grow and consume your own homegrown food and medicine.
Couldn't be simpler, And considering
It's America.
that we just celebrated the 250th anniversary of our Constitution, and we're about to celebrate our 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, our beginning point. It's the framers and everybody would have certainly said, yeah, the hearing is a basic right, And I am going to move forward with what it's going to take to say, what are you going to do with all the sales tax money that you shouldn't have taken? And when they say, no, we didn't know we couldn't do that, Senator Scutari was asked, is there any reason that we can't do this? And Senator Scutari said, there's nothing in the bill. There's nothing in the bill that says you can't. Didn't add, but we don't tax medicine, and it is medicine. So, it's up to, but the fact is, I know that the Division of Taxation in New Jersey, when there's bills, that they get to review them when it has to do with the tax, changing any taxation rules, They know about that. They know about the bills, and they weigh in on them. They supported the bill that would have rescinded entirely the tax on medical cannabis. They wanted that bill passed. They didn't want to collect tax, and New Jersey was. Here's the pisser. When it was found, yes, this is what we want to do, Jake's Law said so, Well, we didn't rescind it. We phased it out over a period of a few years. It went down to 2%, and then another 2%, and then it got rid of it. What they were saying is, we need 2% of what you were spending on medicine. We need it more than you do. They were taking away $2 of cannabis medicine by leaving that on. So, that being the case, they shouldn't be allowed to keep that. Dispensaries can say what each patient's paid in tax. It's all a matter of record. It can happen. And the fact is, yeah, I think they should all get vouchers or whatever, but I don't care. You can rip it up and burn it. I just think the state shouldn't have it. I do not want that. Because the state getting money is what Scutari wants to do. You become really powerful. He's got 7 more years till he could become governor. Oh, come on. Everything he's doing is pointing towards it.
Do you think that people are afraid he's going to beat them up?
No, I mean, they're afraid that they're not going to keep their position on a committee, or maybe somebody's retiring and that leaves an open spot on a committee. Well, the Senate president appoints the committee members, the Democrats. He says who he wants on that committee.
I mean, did his ex-wife ever hint about him being violent, or did she just have a gag order on the whole situation? Was there any? I'm just
Yeah.
asking. I'm asking a question. I don't know. Was there? Because she started a group for battered women after her divorce from him. So, if he's a violent person, maybe they're afraid of him. Maybe I'm just putting this out there.
No,
Maybe.
I don't think. I don't think they would.
No, you don't think so.
Well,
Okay.
I
All right.
would.
I'm just
no.
asking.
I don't think so.
Just a question.
Good
Not an
call.
accusation at all. Just a question.
No, that's the informed cop and the one that thinks it doesn't matter cop. Wink, wink. Not wink's as good as a nudge to a blind man. That's a Monty Python thing. A wink's as good as a nod to a blind man.
I have questions. I have lots of questions about
Well, you know what?
things.
And the question should be asked.
About Scutari's grandmother.
Look.
Did his grandmother grow weed?
Where are the Scutari files when it comes to why is he's willing to do whatever it takes to not allow this bill to be heard, considering that he got home grow passed on the Senate floor before it was taken out in the Assembly. So he knows it works. He can't say it doesn't work. What he's saying, all he has is it's a problem with enforcement. It's a quote. It's right there in the information. It's a problem with enforcement. Now, here's what Vin Gopal said about legalization when he was doing this for Scutari. He said he was sticking up for legalization for adults, and he kept saying the bill, yes, it's going to need a cleanup bill. We can't let the quest for perfection be the enemy of the good. We cannot let a quest for perfection be the enemy of the good. That was the mantra that was used to get legalization passed. I would offer to Senator Scutari, as far as this bill goes, we cannot let a quest for perfection in enforcement be the enemy of the good. There are 6 states within 120 miles. You could be chauffeur driven to any one of them if you needed to meet. Or you could have a Zoom meeting with the Senate presidents of any of the states in our neck of the country within 120 miles. Is 5. Go talk to the Senate president in Maryland or Virginia or New York
There's options.
or Connecticut
Lots of options.
or Massachusetts.
So many options.
And I'm missing one. But why not talk to them with, here's your concerns with enforcement. How's it working out? See, that's the beauty of the United States. We all get to try different shit that other states might not. And then states who don't know get to look at the other shit, you see? And they go, ooh, we don't like that. Then they don't do it. or they go, let me see what happens next. But then they start to see it's not that bad. And it seems to be working, and then they can do it. So that there were 13 states who legalized cannabis medically before us. We were the first state to do it without home grow. And that was not Senator Scutari's fault, I mean, he got it passed, and it got yanked out from him. So now he's doing that to patients and us, the same thing that was done to him, without explanation.
Sam says, always my biggest fear about legalization, specifically recreational, was the intentional writing in laws that would exclude the home grower, making it less and less legal to grow your own. Here in Ohio, we went medically legal in 2016 and recreationally legal in 2025. So Sam's in Ohio. Sam's out there in Ohio.
And then home grow is legal in Ohio.
So Sam, you have home grow in Ohio?
Well, if it's legal, they have home grow because there's 24 states where it's legal. Only 4 don't have it.
Ohio's rough, man. I don't know. I think he's going to come back with a no.
Okay, well,
A big no.
if it is, if a no about it being
Home
legal?
grow.
No. Is it legal for adults in Ohio? I'm asking.
Yes, it's recreationally legal.
Well,
So why can't we have home grow in Ohio?
listen,
I guarantee they don't have
I
it.
hate to be the
Sam, do you have it or not? I guarantee.
Lefty.
I'm going to say no. Ohio is one of the worst states.
I'm gonna say
hate cannabis
I'm
there.
gonna ask somebody smarter than you.
Siri? Oh,
Does Ohio allow home grow for medical cannabis patients?
put it up to the mic.
Hold on.
She'll answer.
No, I don't get it verbally.
Oh, you don't get it. Well,
Yes, Ohio allows adults, including medical cannabis patients, to grow cannabis at home. Medical patients do not have a separate dedicated, so they allow everybody.
You eat it.
Well, here's my point. If somebody from Ohio knew the Senate president there would talk to Nick Scutari. No, listen, if he would do, what we need is somebody in Ohio to ask the Senate president's office, you know, here's what's going on in New Jersey. And there are patient advocacy organizations that would like you to be able to say, yes, I would take his call if he wanted to ask me about anything like that. Because then when Nick Scutari starts saying about Colorado or whatever, say, here's the phone number of the Senate president in Ohio. They do have home grow for patients. They have it for adults as well. I'd like to know, you know...
want to call Scutari?
No, what we want to do is have the number for him to call.
Let's give him the number.
No, don't. We don't have. We want the person there to have said to somebody, yes, I would take Senate President Scutari's call, so that somebody here could say he has said he would take your call.
All right, we're going to ask Sam. Sam, can you go to your Senate president and give him the information that we just told you? Maybe Sam's an activist.
It doesn't have
Sam?
to be. It doesn't have to be a Senate president. It has to be any legislator that would talk to Senator Scutari about the problems. Yeah. Because the thing is, that person should know in advance there are no problems, that he's playing people, and this is we need somebody to say it's not the case in our state.
Sam can help us. Sam, just write your local legislator, your local senator, your local representative.
And then don't
write them. Write them.
Not till after you send him something. You got to send him what he needs to write.
Okay.
He can say whatever else, but what we want him to, or any other legislator to be asked, is pretty specific, and it's easy and it's short.
Okay, so Sam, we'll write the letter for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just to do that. And also, it might take longer, but to ask your own district senator, could he do that for you? Because your own district senator owes you. You're a constituent. So then all he has to do is drop that off in the other person's lap. And then, it's a surer way. And that's what we're going to start doing here in New Jersey, is using legislators to say, how do you feel about Senate President not allowing this bill to be heard? Not, what are you going to do? Not, here's what we think you should do. Not, here's how it would help. None of that. We don't even care if you like the bill. It doesn't matter at all. It's, how do you feel about it? To ask somebody, a legislator, how do you feel about this? Is it, how can somebody say, I'm not going to tell you how I feel? They can dance to anything else. They know the tune. They don't know this one. Just tell me how you feel about it. There's no good answer. You put up the right question. How do you feel about it? It's that easy, I think. See, we haven't approached that easy. I got a message while I was sleeping the other night to do this. It's a dream, but it sounds better if I say a message, right? No, it made sense, and then when I woke up, I thought about it, and it makes perfect sense, because if nothing happens, then your representative got nothing done for you, and they don't like that hanging. You're just asking them to talk to somebody.
Sam, DM me if you can. I'm Lefty Grimes at Gmail, or you can see me on Facebook, Edward Grimes on Facebook, Lefty. DM me. We're going to write a letter for you. Make it easy. All you got to do is just give it to your senator and congressman.
Now, we have monthly podcasts here every fourth Thursday, but we also have one on July 10th, 7/10. You put that upside down, obviously, it spells oil.
Cannabis.
Oil it's not just cannabis.
It's cannabis
medical
awareness day.
When you hear about medical cannabis, it's used medically through oil for people who are hardcore cancer, sick, or want to get unaddicted. Yeah, oil, not puffing, vaping, and edibles. Oil, and then whatever else you can too. But my point is that we already got 420, and Lefty especially did not want regular adults to have oil day too. So, we don't want...
Took it back.
Yeah, it's Cannabis Patient Awareness Day.
Took it back.
Now, we were doing it because there were states who were not yet legal, and we thought we could help them, and other states could help, and that we should use the interstate experience. Now, I'm suggesting an interstate experience with Scutari. So, it's all tying together that on Oil Day, we could be asking for help. We need contacts in other states. We need help.
Yeah, Sam, you can call in on 710. We'd love to hear your story about what's going on in Ohio, how you survived all these years without legalization, and then finally...
What's the pushback? Because there's got to be some sort of pushback on home grow. I mean, it's not like anything ever works perfectly, and that's what we're going to be asking our Senate president. Do you know what's going on in other states? Well, we need to find out what's going on in other states, and with him, it's a matter of enforcement. How in the world does any state deal with the fact that some of this is getting into the black market? Okay, some of all legal prescriptions are in the black market. Are they not? Yes, they are. So it's the same problem with prescription drugs. Actually, it's probably a greater problem. It's just distracting to me to talk about anything other than the home grow bill not being heard, not how good is the bill itself. It's one senator single-handedly being able to keep the information from reaching his Senate colleagues. So on one hand, you say, what do you think of home grow for patients? Cannabis home grow for patients? A senator should say, well, I can tell you what I think, but I definitely need a hearing to be sure, because before you get a vote on a bill, it'll have a hearing. So asking somebody whether or not you like the bill isn't the point. Asking them, would you like the bill to be heard, is the point. But they're not being asked that. So it's going to be up to constituents to do it. And, the fact is that's going to take a long time. However, if I had said that 3 years ago when we were a year and a half into it, and even that was impossible to understand, if we'd done this 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, we might have at least had a hearing. So it's not a fair fight. And in that case, as you know, we are going to change our tactics. Let's just say change rather than escalate, but both will apply. They are certainly not mutually exclusive in this case. But in trying different things, what we really need to do while we try to find if there's things that we haven't tried yet before escalating however it needs to be escalated. When I say that, it could be just fundraising, because, when you have no money, you can only do so much beyond just show off. But here's the crazy thing. Earlier, and how weird shit happens all the time. I mean, there's your rant. Now, it's on the same day, a really nice guy stops by the Take One thing, takes what we need to get into the governor's office somehow. And he's taking them without being encouraged to. But I'm encouraging him, and he goes, hey, man, I'm like nobody here, and I understand that. But, of course, as I responded immediately, yeah, you're just the kind of person that could end up handing that to somebody, and they'll take it because you are nobody, Sure, yeah. And then if I did my job in the short version I had, and me, there's... people would hear me say that, and go, Jim doesn't have a short version to say anything. Are you kidding me? And that would be a well-placed criticism if it was not being constructive. And the fact that I get accused on the other, the good side of making everything a game, and it's not a bad accusation because it's like, yeah, you say that like it's a bad thing. You know, it's what keeps my mind occupied with the task when it's more like a game than a chore, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter. Okay, yesterday, I'm pulling weeds out of where there was stones, a driveway area, you know, and you can't just pull them up and it's hard packed and all, and you got to rake them and do all that. Well, I'd rake a certain area, a certain length, and I'd time it. And then I'd do it again, and I'd time it. And then the next time, I'm thirsty, but I'll wait, because I'm falling behind. A game. So basically, we may need to make it more like a game, and the winner gets quarter ounce. Whoever gets the first timestamp on an email that proves that a legislator knows about this problem.
That's a great game.
You get this. Earliest timestamp. You got to wait a week in case somebody comes up with an earlier timestamp, but they didn't just get to us. You do that, and you will we'll get you a quarter ounce of bud, flower from your favorite dispensary, you know, and because you know how that would actually work out, but it is legal to do. You know, it just has to come from a dispensary. An adult can give another adult up to an ounce. You know, if maybe for just writing the email, sending it in, yes. Here's your number. Stop down for your joint anytime at a podcast on fourth Thursday, and we got one for you.
It works for burn up cleanup very well. We've been cleaning up garbage for 5 years by giving out joints in Dover.
And how many people? What, you get a dozen and a half show up or something?
Man, 30 people show up last time.
2.5. Damn, I missed.
A lot of people, and we give out like 300 joints.
And I gotta say, that's been going on for longer than it's been legal to do it. It started out as being a really cool thing, but you know, the idea that who else besides Chris Alamada is the one doing this?
The other Chris Velasquez.
So the two Chris's, easy to remember, have been doing this and arranging with the township to pick it up, you know. So it's sanctioned by the township, and what a good look, cannabis consumers doing that. And yeah, let them know that it's burn up, clean up. That means you come help clean up, we're going to help you burn up. Yeah, right out in the open. Cannabis consumers care, you know. And then you combine that. It's not like we haven't given a few buds from the table to people who help us. Okay, what about that one time I said if you hold a honk for home grow sign, or no, whatever sign it was about, we had 5 energetic people, 2 on one side, 3 on the other, separated, trying to get horns to honk for 15 minutes.
That was great.
Then they lined up all 4 at the table for their day's wage.
That was great.
It worked. It worked, and a lot of horns honked, and it was a good look. Man, they were having a good time. So why aren't we doing that? If somebody said, I'll take care of the acquisition, the legal acquisition. You know, if we just had a benefactor that thought, you know, it's a good idea, and I want to help make it happen. Oh, how long do you think it's going to be before people are like, okay, we need you to get signature on a petition, and you get 1 joint per every 2 signatures that you get? I mean, if we got, you get 50 joints total an ounce. I don't know, you know, in New Jersey. It's an unused resource.
All I know is that we got a food truck here this week, and I'm going to go see what they got over there. I'll split something with you.
Yeah, well, that's nice because if it on a regular basis, the clientele is coming in and out pretty good.
Let's see what they got.
Oh my God, what am I going to talk about all by myself? I'll just talk like I talk when I'm all by myself. I do that quietly. Thing is, I have audio memory way better than just memory when I think of something. So if I'm by myself and I have a good idea and I don't want to forget it and I can't write it down and I can't say it real quick into a voice recorder or something, I just say it out loud, usually in like a declaration, and then I will remember it. So, yeah, I talk to myself. And when I tell somebody that and then they answer me, I simply say, I'm not talking to you. Works every time. Yeah, it's all about a bill being heard, not about whether or not the bill is liked. It's really unfair stopping a healthcare bill, like helping cannabis patients who can't afford their medicine grow a little bit of their own. Stopping the process, the due legislative process of a bill becoming law in New Jersey being stopped by one man because he has the power to do so. A Senate president can do that. A Senate president cannot allow a bill to be voted on. So you can stop a bill from being voted on if it's a bad bill, but stopping a bill from being heard in committee is preventing Senate colleagues from accessing their best source of information on any bill, best source of pertinent information on any bill. It's not a matter of reading the bill, it's a matter of the people that come and testify at an informational hearing. It's called an informational hearing for a reason. Denying the hearing is denying the information. I think that's a jump we all can make. The thing is how do we feel about that? If there's a reason, 5 years, no reason given? Oh, yeah. A couple of comments when our Senate president was caught by Brianna Venozzi on New Jersey Spotlight News. And she got caught at the end of a conversation on legalization right after legalization had happened. I mean, it had just happened. And he was on there to talk about it and had a little bit of time. And she goes, we just had a call, Senator. And it was about home grow for adults. I mean, they just passed the law. Senate President Scutari, newly elected Senate President Scutari, was asked about that. And when he said, well, we have to get the law up and running first, before we can do anything like that. But for medical, I can see that someday, not today, but someday in the future, I can see that happening. That's really close to a quote, because obviously I've seen that video and have access to it whenever I need to get pissed off. So he said that, and then he went on, and see, that's weird. Because when he's asked about medical cannabis, he pivots to adult somehow because he thinks he has a better argument. So being asked right after legalization on a television show, he went to saying that that what he thought about was instead having a very strict pilot study, very strict, that allowed only the sickest, most hurt patients into the program. We got registered cannabis patients, and what he's suggesting is, cancer? Yes, what stage? Oh, stage 1? No, not for you. You can't get in the program until you have stage 3 cancer. Yeah, but see, the program is to find out how it'll keep you from getting to stage 3. If anything, allow it at stage 1, and if they get to stage 3, say, didn't work, so you can't have it. I mean, that would make more sense, as pitiful as it would be. But it's a discussion that our Senate president cannot have, and so that's why it's the discussion that needs to be demanded. Now, he's refusing to do that, like at the national level. It's the Epstein files. So this is what is this? The Scutari files? Is there a Scutari file? Is there a reason? Does somebody know? Are there legislators that are like, I hope we don't get pressed on it? People know. But I understand that's how it's done. That's the business they're in. That's how they're going to function. And that's how good bills get passed too. So I can't say, well, I like that process when it serves what I want, but I don't like it when it keeps what I want from happening.
They're afraid of him.
We have to make that process work for us where it works. Now, where it's in our favor? Legislators can't. You write your legislator. You write Nick Scutari. Go ahead. You know what they can't do? They can't tell anybody what you said. They can't show anybody your email. It's private. They are not allowed to do that. We, however, can take what they send us, take a copy of it, and put it on a billboard without their permission. It's a one-way street with that. So the thing is we need to get them to make mistakes in an email, and you and I both know they do that with regularity, because they just want to return 1-2 times at the best, and the third time it's I have how many constituents, and we can't keep in touch with everybody as it is. So if something else comes before you, give me a call. Other than that, I'll keep your views in mind. That's the blow-off letter, so you got to really, your meal has to be in the first or the second letter, and where patients say being ignored sucks, it's ammunition. You got to prove it. How you prove it? Here's the unanswered emails. What are they going to say? We answered them. Where are they? Why aren't we doing that? Oh, well, I am. And I'm doing it for, I was for, I think it was 11 patients at one time. But I'm going back now with a few, and the Chris Alamada, Senator Bucco is his constituent. There are 2 other Republicans who are co-sponsors of the Medical Home Grow bill. It's Senator Singer, Republican, and Senator O'Scanlan. So Seth is O'Scanlan's constituent, and a guy, Neil Schenk, I don't know if you know, he's a Facebook friend. I mean, actually, he helped me with Brian at the columns that day. Nice guy, and he's involved politically and stuff, so he's a good fit. Yeah, so we're going to be getting in touch with the Republicans and saying, why aren't you being the check and balance? Just want to know why. I'm not even asking you to ask Senator Secretary. I'm asking you why, my senator, why aren't you doing it? Don't do it, but tell me why. Tell me how it works. What would be taken from you? The potential for a better committee assignment when one becomes open? Is that the worry? I mean, what is it that hangs over? Now, they can't tell you, but they know that you know that they know that you know. And that does affect the dynamics between a constituent and a legislator. And it's in asking the right question that the more you ask, the more weeds there are to hide, and you ask 3 question marks about 3 different things. It's like, which one can I give a good bullshit answer to? And you pick. You ask one thing and one thing only, you got a better chance. If that one thing is, how do you feel about this? What is happening to me? That's it. How do you feel about it? What are they going to say? There's nothing I can do. I can't say that. Well, that really shouldn't be happening. Well, they can't even say that if they don't do something. So that's when they got to shuffle it. That really shouldn't be happening. And I forward your letter to the head of the whatever department, the Department of Health, Department of whatever, and they try to pass it off to somebody. But even that, it's body blows that need to be had. And having been the only one in New Jersey doing this, along with late wife Cheryl, until we met Gary Sage in 1999, being the only one here, Pete Christopher and a guy named John Pease helped with the walk across the state in '93, but that was it. So I consider that, since I started doing things for her, and then we got more active, but it started in 1991, and so it was 8 years that we didn't know anybody else in New Jersey. We didn't know anybody, and it was all body blows. Somebody had to do it, though. So Cheryl was a gatekeeper, till the cavalry came along, and then the cavalry came along, and they just drove right by. Where'd they go?
Well, we're facing the State House steps.
Yeah.
Where a lot of activism happened, where Jackie Rickert stood.
Oh, man, yeah. It was where Chris Christie walked by us 19 times, twice on the last day, over a 2-year period. And he walked through the cones we set out for him to walk through because of a political faux pas that somebody made.
Hey, look who's back. We got Wolfie back. Yo, Wolf, what's up, my man?
Well, now that I've managed to de-foxtail my dog's feet, which is like super high priority because I can't afford vet bills and such, I'm going to go back to this subject of home grow and Schedule 3 and the problem that we face right now. On Monday, the DEA is holding their hearing. They've invited no one but opponents to rescheduling. And the people who should be actively working right now to get our voice heard are all off on this detour. We will not get descheduling. Anyone that thinks we will is ignorant of how international law works.
We're not going to get.
When we, as
we're
a
not,
nation, sign on to a treaty, or when it's a multiple nation, more than two nation treaty, it's called a convention. The United States signed the 1963 United Nations Convention on Dangerous Narcotics. What this means is that we cannot deschedule legally. Forget that Canada's done it. Forget that Germany's done it as far as adult use. And actually, Germany hasn't done adult use. They've done medical. Uruguay has done adult use. But you cannot be keeping your word internationally and have adult use. Again, the Uniform Compassionate Use Restoration and Expansion Act is based on this fact. We can have a virtually universal distribution system of cannabis in the form of research collaboratives centered in the universities. This requires only one technical rule change that Terrence Booth, the man at the DEA who would sign the licenses to manufacture for research purposes, is waiting to see this kind of an application, and has been since 2016. No one's bothered to put them in. I've been pushing it on and off with the other things that I've tried, and now it's gotten to critical because as Schedule 3, with, as I said earlier in the show, with Trump's executive order worded the way it was, he told the DEA and FDA that Schedule 3 is to include state-recognized, state-defined medical marijuana. We have the thing we need. We need to get organized. If anyone listening to this, I don't care if you're, well, I do care, but I'm going to ignore the fact that some of you are pro-Trump, some of you are anti-Trump. Forget all of that, and just for a second, the President of the United States of America, in his function as President, has directed the DEA and FDA to do certain things, to reschedule cannabis to Schedule 3, and specifically to include all FDA, DEA recognized cannabis drugs, but also, and more importantly, to recognize state medicinal cannabis that is medicinal cannabis by that state's definition. Under a decision called Bilodeau v. U.S., or it might be the other way around, that came out of the First Circuit, where you guys are, the First Circuit Federal Court of Appeals said that you can't call everything and anything medical marijuana. If the states have defined it as something other than medical marijuana, you can't roll it into medical marijuana. That's not what a medical marijuana license gives you. And we cannot and will not, as signatories to the United Nations Convention, deschedule. So stop.
Yeah, hold on. Well, I gotta just butt in for his Jim,
okay.
By the way. Yeah, because like a president would never disobey a treaty. Oh, wait a second.
They do. That's the problem.
What I'm saying, yeah, you know.
My family has been fighting for treaty recognition for 3 generations.
That's why, listen, I'm not talking about that. Well, hear me out.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, but
A nation's
what I care
word is
about
either good or
how
isn't.
does that translate to what we're talking about in a tangible way to try to either move the goalposts or move the needle towards the goalposts that exist? Is that right now we do have a president has a treaty, a United Nation, a treaty. He'll do something just to show that doesn't govern him. And this is something that he started. So if he could almost be goaded into, well, I'll ignore that motherfucker then, and then, say some embarrassing shit. But the
Except
point,
that's been the Republican excuse for not making changes ever since Nixon brought it in to use against blacks
okay, but
and
all
young
that doesn't
people.
matter. None of that matters without at least saying, well, yes, we need to, but if it involves getting a lot of people, that's been impossible in the past. So I would maintain that we need ideas.
Here's their choices: we lose adult use, we lose medicinal cannabis, and corporate cannabis gets to rock, or we all put our egos, put our vanity aside.
But Wolf, we all aren't going to, Wolf. We all never do anything. Half of us never do it. I appreciate the sentiment, but it doesn't work, so we need an alternative to we all, which means there needs to be some people going above and beyond the call of duty with something that has not been tried yet or has been shown to work, just to get, in New Jersey, to get the discussion going. We're fighting to have an open discussion here,
Right, but in order to get to that, right, what needs to happen is the equivalent of the Uniform Controlled Substance Act, which would be, and that was passed as the Uniform Controlled Substance Act, and all the states then copied the feds, is we need to have a uniform, compassionate use, restoration, and expansion act that every state's legislature gets on board with. And the only way that happens is if our advocate groups get their heads out of their asses and recognize that we will not get descheduling.
100% agree.
100.
I'll interrupt you with my 100% in agreement with everything you just said there, because advocacy organizations need to realize that they do need to marshal their forces together, at least in one damn thing one time. And I had this same thing to say when I went down Students for Sensible Drug Policy, marking the 40th or 45th, whatever anniversary it was at Lafayette Park, and that's exactly what I was saying then, that they had the two major forces in Washington working against each other, and that was well recognized by the people that went there is exactly what needs to be done. Usually when people recognize that, it's too late. The predator is already chewing their ass, and they realize, I could have used some help. I said things like this on the Association for Reform Organizations, AR, or the Arrow list. Two people from any organizations that did had this email thing where a lot of the information, it was a really good thing, and I put up, why don't something like that. I suggested, okay, if we had 12 different things that people said we needed to all do together, why don't we dedicate 1 month each where everybody works on this? Next month, everybody works in it. And the explanation to me was because we're more like cats than dogs. The people we're up against, they're like dogs. They run in packs. We're like cats. We don't rendezvous. We don't, and it was a point well taken, but I feel like you feel that, okay, let's recognize that and say that shouldn't work here, Cats and dogs can both be smart in their own way, and when both are smart enough to say, let's do something together, you know what? You see a cat and a dog walking towards another animal, go, what the hell?
Let's be Akitas who act like cats, or Shiba Inus, which are dogs that act like cats, and let's be Turkish van cats, which are cats that act like dogs. They are trainable. They're not scared of water, etc. We need to do what it takes. If we do not act now, we will lose 40 years of progress over the next 2 years.
We got to give them weed and food to come out to help. Seriously, you got to bribe people.
Well, if you remember the wave we were riding in the late 70s, and then 1981, just so you know, what the hell happened? You know, it was a U-turn about face, and we allowed it to happen.
What happened was Peter Bourne was stupid enough, along with Keith Stroup, to get caught snorting coke and smoking pot at the friggin' White House.
Well, and actually, it was at a normal meeting. It wasn't at the White House, but everything else is in it.
It actually happened at the White House.
Well, that might be a separate thing, but they were in an upper room, a private VIP room at a normal national or whatever it was conference, and he was director of Bureau of Narcotics or whatever it was called. He was the drug czar. Yeah, he wasn't even called drug czar, but yeah, and you know what happened was, they got wind of that. And Keith didn't deny it when he had the chance. He was asked to do that on the record, and not doing it. It's like a pocket veto. You don't veto it, but you let it expire, and it becomes law.
No comment.
Right.
That was like, you know, that was a turning point.
But I think everyone listening to this show, at least, and hopefully all the people involved in medicinal cannabis advocacy, all agree we need virtually universal access.
Yes, we do.
We
and
can
you know,
do that
one more
Schedule
thing.
3.
One more thing you said, I agree with. It's sort of like, we're not going to be getting descheduling, but in my head I'm thinking we're not going to be getting it now. You know, it doesn't mean going and doing something else isn't like, okay, you only get one step. Where is it going to be? Schedule 3, Schedule 5, legal, deschedule, but no, it's a painful step, not to the final thing, but when it does, something good. But the Schedule 3 is difficult because honestly, I got to tell you, I don't know exactly what to think. It's not like as clear cut.
But it is. Go back and read Trump's executive order.
Well, how many people are going to read that order, though? I mean, I get it, but
have obfuscated what Trump ordered. And I don't agree with 99.9999. Keep going with the 9% of what Trump is about. But I do agree that 75% of Americans in both major political parties favor medicinal, and that under medicinal we can provide almost universal access. We can provide state regulation under FDA, DEA oversight, and do exactly what Trump said. The government buys it and sells it back on paper with a slight little tax in there, which we earmark in the law as being for research, specifically used to fund research into cannabinoidal therapies.
You said we can do that for medical. I agree. Now,
there is no such thing as adult use.
Yeah, but what I hear when we say that here, that we know that there are many legislators that support medical, that don't support it for adult use. You can see that by the co-sponsorship percentages of bills that affect each one individually.
And there is no legal adult use internationally.
Yeah, I know that, but
we have obligations as a nation. What our nation has gone downhill. We didn't. It used to be we only lied to the natives.
Oh yeah, well we we don't have a we anymore. We aren't a we.
But
we're
can
two different
be.
directions.
This is one of very few issues that crosses party lines.
But what when adults say, I don't think patients deserve it first. We all deserve it. See, here in New Jersey, we tried to use that for getting legalization legislated. We didn't want to kick it over. We don't have initiative in referendum. It has to be sent over to a referendum by the legislature.
Right.
So
understood.
They just decided they wanted to legislate it. So they needed to get 21 out of the 40 votes in the Senate. They weren't getting it. So what they did is, hey, there's a patient's bill called Jake's Law. Little boy died and named after Jake's Law. And why don't we combine them into one bill? Because this was the legislators' theory, and they stated that theory, that there are more people that support medical, and there are some that wouldn't want it to not have medical because they don't want it for adults. In other words, they thought they could swing that as a bargaining chip, and what happened is it didn't work, and they had to kick it over. But no, you couldn't just then the next day vote on the patient stuff. It took 8 freaking months till it easily passed. 8 months because it was hijacked by legalization. Now, I can't get a clear-cut consensus of people who are saying, listen, while we want our right to grow, why don't we help with this patients bill get heard and help patients get theirs? Because the fact is that what is going to be good for patients also applies if they had a hearing on the adult, standalone bill for adults.
Right.
They do have a bill where it would be for both. But
now look at how California approached it relative to who was eligible to be a patient. If their doctors said that they possessed a condition or were afflicted with a condition that might benefit from the use of medical cannabis, they were allowed. Now,
that sounds common sense.
It is my contention that at least 95% of the people who think they're smoking adult use / recreationally are in point of fact self-medicating for undiagnosed subclinical cases of social anxiety disorder. So if their doctor says, you know what, you have a problem meeting new people and relating to them, let's see if this helps, that's enough.
Yeah,
that gets you on the list.
That's the way it should be.
But in order for it to be research, it has to be on patients whose genomes are known and biochemistries are known, so we can track how the different combinations of cannabis's elements affect which afflictions. So we can actually create a database where a doctor in New Jersey can go, wow, you have hyperspasticity, and according to this database, part of this is in order to re-up, the patients have to but they have to check off or circle 20 questions, no essays, that help us determine which combinations work for what. And so the doctor in one state can go on this and go, oh, according to this, these ranges seem to work best for people with your genetics and your biochemistry. So I'm going to write you a recommendation for medical cannabis, and I'm going to further recommend that you should look for this kind of thing.
Could something like this,
they try it and it works or it doesn't work, they fill in the results. This is an ongoing collection of relational database.
Question. I got a question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't this happen easier with Schedule 3 than without it?
Yes, exactly.
Well, then isn't that a good reason for having Schedule 3
That's
in
why
spite
we
of all
need
that's
Schedule
wrong?
3. That's why we need Schedule 3, because it is an actual workable path to universal or almost universal access and all of the things we need. We put home grow in order for people to be able to grow rare combinations that they need, that a dispensary. And by the way, pharmacies aren't going to work for this. It needs to be a sample distribution point for the first 5 years of research collection and data collection.
Well, I'd love to see this no matter what happens in New Jersey. The idea of all that. Listen,
this is why I'm about Schedule 3 and talking about Schedule 3 right now.
I agree.
To phone tree. Call anyone listening to this. Call anyone you know who might listen and say, look, call anyone you know who might listen to call their representatives and say, we want Schedule 3, including state medical.
Look, Wolf, listen, back in the day, all I ever heard is it's never been studied. It's never been studied.
There's 38,000 studies right now.
Yes, I understand, but hear me out. This is like 1997. We had a boiling point where we said, okay, we're tired of hearing that from MS Society, from the health department here in New Jersey. We did a test for Cheryl from her hospital bed out front. I'm looking right down now where we were. Showed the press that showed, because the Star Ledger said we were going to do a civil disobedience. So yeah, they showed up to watch an arrest, and they saw how stiff she was in her wheelchair when I picked her up to put her in the bed. Had nothing other than a fresh Coca-Cola, because if she had to have a sip, that's what she drank, Diet Coke.
Right.
And, okay, you could see it was unadulterated, and a tincture. And then I figured by getting arrested, the proof of the test will be when they say it was cannabis. Well, then it was either Coca-Cola or cannabis that would get rid of her spasticity. Now, while I would say that is the test of one, it wasn't double-blind, placebo-controlled, clinical crossover, gold standard study. However, from what I've been told, it's the best study that's ever been done.
Now
Do
think
something,
about this.
do something better. But that's
that's easy.
That would well, I know, but my whole point wasn't to get anything done. It was to get the public to understand what is going on. You know, when I suggest what needs to be done, I send somebody else to do that. I would send you to do my bidding for something like this, because, you know, I'm busy trying to get something else started. You know, it's like everybody's got their specialty. Mine is opening doors, but not being the one with all the nuts and bolts knowledge. You know, I would never walk in a door like that alone, you know. So, like, you know, I do appreciate what you're saying, because, yeah, to me, Schedule 3, if that's going to get to the studying that's been missing, you know, and everything you said, that patients say yes, yes, yes to those 20 questions that allow somebody to do what can be done now so much easier than it could have even 5 years ago. Correlate it all.
Right, and in statistics, right, in the mathematical field of statistics,
yes,
the more members of the sample population you have, the more so-called anecdotal reports become a valid place to start. If you
Yes,
have
sir.
one person saying, "Well, I did this, I smoked this, and it made me feel better," big
that's
whoop.
what we got now. Yeah,
It's
ain't working.
meaningless.
Yeah, it ain't
Now,
working
if you've
now.
got 10 people who say that, still not necessarily useful. When you start getting 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 100,000 reports back from patients with a wide range of conditions, say 500 of them have hyperspasticity in association with ALS, and of those 500, we see three main clusters of genetics and biochemistry. Now a doctor whose patient is suffering from hyperspasticity from ALS can send their patient to that, or they not even send their patient to that database. They go to that database and they give their patient a recommendation to take to the sample distribution point. The sample distribution point looks at it and says, okay, this one that we have falls into this range. So it would be what your doctor is recommending you start with. And when you're done, if it's been beneficial or if it hasn't, we want you to fill out this report that you use the QR code to get to. Now, you were one of 500, but it turns out 130 of you all said pretty much the same things about this combination. And oh, look, you were one of them. Now we're starting to have a place where it's worth Big Pharma's time to come in and work on that ensemble as a medicine to bring to market. We're saving them money. We use their greed in a form of judo to move them into supporting what we need.
I see you know your judo, sir.
Yeah, but that's a really
Actually,
interesting.
I see, though,
That's a
but-
very interesting analogy, and I've used it before in a way on a parallel course, and it really does leave somebody stuttering sometimes when you say that. And there's, it's certainly. If it's going to happen easier under
we agree
Schedule
with
3.
all of their objections. There needs to be more study. Absolutely. This allows that.
And then while all that's going on, the other forces that be get busy into work on going and doing better than that. But that will be easier from the information found while it's in Schedule 3. There's more ammunition to carry it further. You know,
and I would argue that Schedule 3 is a stepping stone to a proper Schedule 6.
Exactly. You know, and it's sort of like, that's what I've been saying. It's like a diving board, or, you know, or whatever. You know, you climb down to that and then you dive off that, or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But have you ever heard the saying, perfection is the enemy of the good?
No. Yes. Well, I was just talking about that earlier today. That's, you know what that was used? That was used by Vingo Paul, who is the one that helped with legalization, when he was explaining the legalization. And it's like, he says, listen, we're going to need a cleanup bill. I know that. And we'll need a cleanup bill for the cleanup bill. We've been doing this with alcohol law for however many years right now. You know, the thing is, and that's when they went to that, we have a good bill. We would have a good law. No, it wouldn't be perfect, but, and then they said exactly what you said. We can't let perfection be the enemy of the good. And that's exactly what's going on here with not getting a hearing for a bill, because there's a problem with enforcement is the only answer ever given. And there's always a problem with enforcement. But that's that's where other states come in. Where is the enforcement with problems that cause more harm than the good it's doing patients? It's
and
a
yet,
risk benefit.
if you look at how Oregon did medical, they had it down. If the police thought that a grow was happening at a place, they called the Oregon Health Authority, OMPP, Oregon Medical OMMP, Oregon Medical Marijuana Program, and said, is this address registered as part of the program? It is? Okay, thank you. And they didn't come past the front door.
There you go.
That's how it actually worked. Now, some people abused it. They started stacking licenses and stacking patients in order to do large-scale commercial cannabis. Now, there's a place for that, too. But right now, fuck Curaleaf. Fuck cookies. Fuck all those MSOs that are preventing medical for the sake of profit.
Bumper stickers out of that. They would make good bumper stickers. You know the best bumper sticker I ever saw? Fuck you, you fucking fuck.
You eat it.
I'm sorry for 4 penalties here. I don't have to put $1 in shit. That would be 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and you know, I like your passion, and I like that you make salient points about Schedule 3, and I like that.
Well,
you got to you know, you got to triage what can be done and what can't be done.
Right.
You know, and
so I would like to invite everyone that's listening. One of the things you want to do, if you're on Facebook, go to Darryl Cotton, DarrylCotton. He and I have brought it to the California Department of Cannabis Control hard. We forced them to back off on the issue of not probable cause. Give me a second. Positive conflict relative to the laws. Because
we just lit a big joint here, and you're forgetting shit, man. What's going on? We just lit a big joint while you're doing that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I'm 75.
I'm 70. You know, but probable cause, positive conflict. They've got the same. They're right next to each other in my mental dictionary. Positive conflict, where state and feds disagree, the feds always are preeminent. It says it in the 10th Amendment.
That's it.
If it's constitutional, then the feds have top rule. But we can get it so that state law is compliant with federal law by getting federal law to where it's supposed to be. I mean, Judge Francis Young, and listen carefully to the title, Chief DEA Administrative Law Judge, held that there was legitimate medical marijuana usage in the United States in 1980-something, and Jack Lawn, the DEA administrator, did not let it through.
And he's
At that point, the head of the diversion division was not looking for a way to have medical cannabis be recognized.
Yeah, Judge Young called the law arbitrary and capricious. Yeah, I love that word because, like, I know exactly when to use it, and most often the other person doesn't know, but they think I'm smart.
Yeah, but
Judge
here's
Young
the thing. Jack Lawn stopped it. Right now, we have the DEA and the FDA.
Jack Lawn?
Yes, DEA Administrator Jack Lawn.
The guy, he should have a lawn care business, I mean.
You would think, lawn care? I agree.
Right. Jack Lawn here.
But here's the thing. He did not have a president who had ordered him to recognize medical cannabis as Schedule 3. We do. Let's use it. This is a point we have never been at in history. He didn't order descheduling. The president, the senior member of the executive branch, whatever we may think of him and most of what he's done, ordered the DEA and FDA to reschedule and specifically stated that it should include state-defined medical cannabis. This we can get. This we have. This we need. We need to stop. Pardon, I owe you $1. Stop fucking around trying to get descheduling. Right now, we all have to be on the same page and reading it loudly to our representatives.
Yeah, I concur.
And with it, in this universal, uniform Compassionate Use Restoration and Expansion Act, CURE, cure, we're going to cure cannabis. We're going to cure cannabis regulation. And the only way we can do this is get all the states on board with doing it the same way and have them let Congress and the president know that this is what we want. We want it to look like this, and we have to build into it regulatory mechanisms that allow the DEA to fulfill its mission of keeping shit from going sideways, but staying within what the law allows. And that's the diversion division's job. And Terrence Booth, who is only a section chief, but he's the section chief in charge of this part of the diversion division, wants to see what I'm talking about on an application.
What about states that don't want any form of marijuana legal at all? If all states have to sign off on this, it doesn't
have to be all states. It doesn't have to be all states.
It's 37
it just has to be federal law.
Yeah.
Once it's federal law, states have the right to pass stricter laws as long as they don't violate a constitutional right.
Yeah.
But I would argue that a state trying to forbid medicinal cannabis, if it's federally legal under Schedule 3, would constitute a 14th Amendment violation, probably a 4th Amendment violation, and possibly a 5th Amendment violation. But definitely a 14th Amendment violation because it denies equal protection of the law. It would be equivalent to one state permitting slavery while the rest do not.
Yeah, I like that analogy, I mean,
these are all,
it's understandable.
Understand, I've been pushing this general form of research collaborative as a route. I first developed it talking to Terrence Booth and Cynthia Armstrong when they were just when they were each just another section chief at the diversion division, when they put out a call for applications for licenses to manufacture for research purposes. This isn't a new idea. It's not, flat. It's not fully developed because I haven't been able to get sufficient, basically, backing to take it further. If you're broke, you can't. It's tough to be an advocate when you're busy trying to figure out how you're going to pay rent.
Yeah, now we're preaching to a choir sitting here for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know it. I know it. Look at Pebbles
Yeah.
Trippett. She worked with Dennis getting Prop 215 passed. She's been an activist all her life. She has to appeal for help. I was begging on Facebook earlier this year. My wife and I were almost living in a car. You know,
Yep.
it happens, but we have to do things that move us forward
Yeah, that I understand. You know,
as a
and
movement.
yeah, I'm looking forward to becoming a follower more than a doer. You know, at 75, and I personally am in it till this bill is heard or something moves. But
Right.
at some point, then I'm not going to be able to help the process. It'll happen with or without me, probably at the exact same millisecond. But then it's going to not be good enough, and it'll take working on. So, you know, it was when the day medical was passed, whether or not I had home girl, I thought I was done coming to Trenton. I've been here now 5 times more than everything it took to do that. Maybe 10 times more.
In 1973, when Oregon decriminalized, almost all of us advocates thought we were within 5 years of legalization.
Yep. What
Didn't
happened?
happen. We've gone backwards. Born and Strop happened is what happened.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, and there's also, you know, there's a lot of financial interests that don't want to see cannabis go, and B. But Paul Stanford, the executive director of the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation,
Oh, we know Paul good. Yeah.
put it perfectly. Prohibition, although he called it cannabis prohibition, prohibition is about the continued and ongoing centralization of political and economic power. If we are able to make biofuels on our farms to run our tractors, combines, etc., then we aren't the victims of big oil. If we're making our toilet paper out of hemp instead of trees, we're not being victimized. If our social lubricant is not alcohol, or is instead of or in addition to alcohol is cannabis, then we have a lot lower public safety concerns. It is in our interest to do what is best for our society, which is Schedule 3 right now.
That's the path. That's the best path to all.
It's the most
inclusion.
workable one.
Yeah.
It's the one that can get us there.
It's one that can be a stepping stone. You know, it's not a dead end. It's a doorway.
Especially if we insist on Trump's exact wording. Go back and read that executive order. I had to read it 3 times to be sure that I really was seeing it as 2 separate things, not it has to be FDA recognized and in the States. No, it's both. It's each of them, not both of them. It's 2 separate groups that are to be brought into the protection of Schedule 3. We have to insist on it.
Well,
And that means everyone calling everyone.
yeah.
Now, not later. No, not I'll get to it. Before the weekend is over. Before Monday, when they're holding that hearing.
Is there anywhere that's going to that won't be broadcast live? I mean, although there'd be great interest.
C-SPAN probably.
Yeah. Well, somewhere afterwards, you know, I'd like to watch that in its entirety, although we will see excerpts almost immediately. You know.
Normal might have it. Hopefully ASA will have it. They're usually pretty good about getting someone there to video important hearings. I would think, hey, Beard Brothers, High Times, you want to prove you're not just out to suck money out of the movement? Put up the money to film the hearing. Video the entire hearing. Offer it as a public service. I will endorse that what you did was magnificent if you do that. Cookies, prove you're not just greed heads. True Leaf, let's see it. Curaleaf, let's see it. Prove it. Prove you care about medical cannabis.
You eat it.
Lefty's cider effects.
You know, when you're coughing, if you
Okay,
put
that
your
took a
arms up,
minute.
you'll cough less because you give your lungs more room.
Yes, actually, I used to know that.
Ah,
Yeah, I do. And like hanging from a tree branch or something. You know.
I could never remember to hang from a tree branch while I was doing that, but
No, I mean that actually works, and that also is good. It's good for my back for another thing. So
yeah,
you know, I can help my back while I have a cough.
cool.
Yeah, I have water today, and I left it over in my car, and I am that lazy.
I
Oh, well.
one time bought a $400 leather coat because it was chilly. Back when I had a lot of money, back in the 80s, it was chilly and I didn't want to walk out to my car in the cold.
Oh man, I once bought a $5 bicycle because I had a 10-mile walk, and I saw a garage sale after 2 miles.
But yeah, I
for
mean,
real.
there was a lot of money coming in for me from about 84 through about 89 in Green Merchant. I was doing good. Yeah. Unfortunately, that they took most of everything. So, but things are still going on. If I find my backer, I'm opening the American College of Cannabiculture in Nevada County, California. We're going to teach people the right way. We're also teaching people how to people who get to home grow. One of my main project right now, my main research project, is coming up with all the ways they can maximize their yield from the limited number of plants they're allowed to grow. In fact, in keeping with that, let me see if I can get the picture of this to you. I know how I'll do it. I'll go over and stand in front of it.
Yeah.
Okay. What I'm about to show you is a plant that is going to be espaliered. One plant is going to be 3 growth towers coming up. This plant is now roughly a month old.
Oh,
Can you
wow.
see that? See, this is going to be growing along here. This is going to be growing along here. This is going to continue to grow up. When this is halfway over to that post, it will go up. When this is halfway over to that post, it will go up. Last year, a 6-foot espalier gave me 3.5 pounds. That's one plant. If I can grow 6 plants, I can grow enough for myself and a friend who can't grow.
Man,
This is what we
one
have a
plant.
response. One plant.
So, like, if you had a law that allowed 4 plants,
Excuse me, half sec. She pisses me off so much. This woman, anyway, has been calling and calling, and I can't help her, unfortunately. But here's another one. That's 2 plants. That's how much I'm being allowed to grow on this property. And, you know,
so you'll show them.
yeah. You know, I mean, this is what we need to be doing. There's other ways to maximize yields.
Well, what about
So
this?
what I want to do.
I've
Go
never
ahead.
done this. You could tell me. Don't top a plant, like, let it just grow up, and then as it does, bend it over.
Yeah,
So it's
low stress training,
and then you
also
top
known
it.
as
Then
plant bondage.
yeah, it's that always seemed like when I heard you can only grow so much.
Right. Well, bending them over helps. It's low stress training, and I didn't really show this up close, but see, this plant is going through that. But because I want the development here too. It's not topped, but it's bent slightly. That results in better hormone production going out there, so they'll grow more. When you top it, what you're doing is you're changing where the auxins end up, which is one of the phytohormones.
Yeah. So, but if then you didn't top the shoots that would grow upwards towards the light with it bent over. If you did that as it grew, it's not like bow and arrow, like a bow bend, bigger than that. But I've never done it, but it seems I've been told that they grow up almost like it looks like you have a whole bunch of plants, but it's one plant with a whole bunch of branches all growing up, and I don't know what else you would do.
Okay, this plant has not been topped, and it's not been done espalier yet. It's a different variety. Now,
it's like show and tell here. It's nice.
See what's going on. This is a plant that has multiple branches. Now, it's a high yielding variety. One I'm proud to say I bred, but this cannot touch what that's going to put out unless I do it the same way. I'm pretty much this time through for these two is going to be espalier. What I'm doing this year is people that want to grow but don't really have the ability or haven't really figured it out. I farmed out a bunch of plants, 6 to each person, and they're going to be part of my breeding program. They have to let me use 2 branches of the 6 plants that I've given them to do some crossbreeding because I'm pissed off about the genomic bottleneck that selection and culling solely for high THC has resulted in. I think we may have lost incredibly valuable chemicals and constituents in cannabis by doing that. So I'm trying to open up the bottleneck as one of the things, because I mean, all my life, since I was 14, actually before then, but I started selling when I was 14. I started growing when I was 15. I'm 70. My life is dedicated to serving the green goddess ganja. Okay, and now that doesn't mean I don't believe in other things, but ganja is my spirit guide. I met her on a pharmaceutical vision quest in 1970.
Well, what a long, strange trip it's been so far, huh?
Oh, yeah. Complete with that 15-year involuntary sabbatical with the feds in the state of Oregon. But, I knew...
What was the first joint like after 15 years? I mean...
Honestly, I got out, and my friends Miles and Susan picked me up at the gate, and we went to their motel room, and he had this stuff called Purple Urkel.
I've heard of Purple Urkel.
And Purple Urkel was really quite pleasant. It had a hashy, licorice, chocolatey taste, and I loved it. It was like coming home after being gone on a really unpleasant trip. And it really was. I mean, I didn't smoke much for the first year and a half or so, but when I got out, medical had been legalized in Oregon. So I got a grower because I didn't feel comfortable growing in my house with a parole officer showing up at any time they want. Because federally, I was on federal.
Yeah,
I was federal supervised release. That wouldn't have worked out well.
No.
And given that I did 15 basically on arising from charges that originally I was looking at a mandatory minimum 20 to life. I pled down from in excess of 12,000 plants to 3,999.
Down to 3,000. Sorry for laughing. It's like down to that,
Well,
but,
I mean,
yeah,
there was also 12 tons.
That wasn't a choice, though. I mean, you didn't really have a choice. You had to.
And there was 12 tons that they didn't charge me with, that they ascribed to me, but said they had insufficient proof to bring charges of. But they believed I was responsible for an additional 12 tons of production.
Yeah, well,
it was way more, but that's beside the point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, lesson well learned, I suppose.
This concludes our podcast.
Oh.
Well, thank you for joining us, man. It was great.
It was fun, guys. Again, anyone out there, Call everyone you know who will call someone that will call their representatives. Phone tree, work together. Pretend that you believe this can work, and it will. Fake it till we make it. We have got to stop what they're trying to do Monday. This is Thursday. We have till Monday to at least get it put off so that we can present our case.
Well, we'll find out how it works. I like that it's 4 days because it's like rip this Band-Aid off and see what's underneath. You know?
Yeah.
So I want to thank CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, OprahMachine.com, and SativaCross.org. We have a list that we read every week.
Yes.
And we're here looking at an area where a lot of the people on this list stood and fought. And fought for their rights. One of them was Cheryl Miller.
May her memory be a blessing.
Yeah, there's 61 people, and
I know.
Lefty starts with Cheryl, and yeah, it's like ending every podcast on a sad note, but for a purpose, you know.
But we will remember and be inspired to do what's necessary.
Yeah, and then when we're asking people to do something simple like make a phone call, yeah, you know, don't just say rest in peace to somebody. Help them rest in peace. You know, make that phone call. That's all. So, hey, that made sense.
Yeah.
Sabina Rose, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy, Polly, Bill, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Patty, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, Lawanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia, Wayne, Waxy, Joe Marie, Paul, Jeff,
All real people.
This concludes our podcast.
Thanks, Wolfie. We'll see you next time, brother.
Yep. Probably tonight. I think I'm on the Ignorance is No Excuse tonight.
Now, this is it. We were saying we were going to do another one. If you couldn't make this one, we were going to do another one just for you because we wanted to talk to you. So, yeah, we thank you, Wolfie. And,
okay, thank you. Sue should get a hold of me. I'm going to send her some stuff that's specific about how we attack state adult use laws and use that attack to further medicinal cannabis use and laws, and show that we're not actually attacking. What we're doing is we are showing that that doesn't work legally, but all of the benefits of it can be in medicinal done correctly.
Thanks, Wolfie.
Yep,
And we
take
end
care.
the show like this. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end, against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you.
Man.
See ya!